you want to do it now before we get started?
Let's do it now, because for season 6, it ain't gonna be hard for me.
Oh, wow. It's gonna be very hard for me. So
I remember.
I know we won't get to go right to the top of the show, but
oh yeah, it's definitely not gonna be hard for me.
Good.
Let me count. 1, 2, 3 that are star lows that don't make the cut. I've got 2 stars and 1 star with an up arrow. So it looks like I know what my top 3 are.
The crazy thing is, the one I put a star with an up arrow, I don't think is going to be number 1, oddly enough. And I only did that once. I know, but I was so high on it the first time I watched it. And now I'm like, well, was it? Though I think I just got one really awesome laugh out of it, and and it was carried by one guest performance that I think it has to be on the list. But all right, so I guess I've got my wow. I hate to leave that one off. This is tough. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. This is controversial even for me. I'm like,
right.
I don't even know if this is. I don't even know if this is right, and I'm the one. I have final say.
Jeez. Like, I don't know if I agree with the committee on this one. Like, what do you mean? You are the committee.
This guy's not a real Curb fan.
Damn. All right.
Keeping myself. The last person who should be hosting a fucking podcast about Curb is this guy.
Tim Murphy, a self-quote in 2023.
All right. Should we get going?
Yeah,
all
might
right.
as well.
a lot of that will make it seem like it took me like 2 seconds to do, because all that dead air will be...
I'm going to leave all of that in for Patreon. I'm going to leave every single thing in.
Welcome to No Hugging, No Learning.
It's a show about one thing, watching Curb Your Enthusiasm for the first time.
I'm Tim Murphy.
And I'm Ted Hollowell.
And today we will be talking about Season 7, Episode 1, Funkhouser's Crazy Sister. But before that, what is the deal with stuff from our last episode, which was, I always forget the Bat Mitzvah, the Season 6 finale. Didn't have any homework and did not find any continuity errors, but I did want to iterate this, not reiterate this. I want to iterate this because we didn't really touch on it, I don't think, but if it wasn't obvious, Matt Tessler is a fictional character. No one named Matt Tessler ever directed an episode of Seinfeld. Well, what should have made that even more painfully obvious is it was played by a very famous comedic actor, Michael McKean. So, if you were lost about that, like, wow, why didn't they talk about Larry completely trashing this guy that he worked with 4 times? It's because it was a made-up name. So that's really all I have from the previous episode. Before moving on to the new season, we do have to, as we were talking about at the top of the episode, run down our top 3 episodes of Season 6. And as you heard sort of pontificating early in the episode, I had 6 starred episops of a 10-episode television series.
Is that including your star lows, or is that just okay? I was gonna say if that's not even including your honorable mention episodes of your star lows, then we're in trouble. Because I thought I did not like season 6, and then going back, I'm like, I had 6 episodes marked as well.
Oh wow!
One being a star with an up arrow, 2 being full stars, and 3 being star lows. So I think I was more on the star low side of season 6, but then you figure 40% of the season I really didn't care for at all.
Yeah, when you're only dealing with 10 episodes, if you didn't like 4 of them, yeah, that's almost half, if my math is correct. I didn't give out as many. I gave out 1 star low. I'm normally Mr. Star Low as well, because I'm like, oh, it's going to get better than this. It's going to get better than that. And then I usually end up like you with 3 obviously starred episodes. But this time I gave out 5 full stars, including a star up arrow, and only 1 star low. So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So you can continue eating your granola or whatever it is. So, all right. I'll go from 3 to 1 for my top 3 episodes, and then I'll mention my honorable mentions, because that's part of the definition of an honorable mention is you have to mention them. Otherwise, it's just honorable. They're just honorable. Okay, number 3, The Therapist. This was my star up arrow, and it's the only episode of the season that I got a chance to watch twice because it was during our May hiatus. And so I watched it again without taking notes or anything, just kind of, it sort of lost some of its luster. That first watch through was so hilarious, and I got maybe the biggest laugh of the season when Dr. Bright was tackled by the police officers after the staged mugging, and then all that. They did that Abrams Zucker style. Larry and the doctor are having an innocuous conversation in the foreground while all of this hilarious stuff is happening in the background. And this learned doctor is getting his ass kicked by the LAPD. That was just hilarious. And plus the whole thing was carried by the great performance by Steve Coogan, who I thought was hilarious in that episode. So the Arrow didn't hold up, but it did still, I felt like, belong on the list. Number 2 is Meet the Blacks. I don't think in 6 seasons the previous 5 seasons, I had starred a season premiere. But going back and looking through my notes, it had some very funny moments. And I think what carried it the most was the cake penis. That was such a hilarious reveal and storyline.
That was very good.
Yeah, that I'm like, okay, Meet the Blacks has to go on there. And plus it introduced a great, story arc. We didn't meet Leon yet. If Leon had been in that episode, it might have pushed it up to number 1. But it was still a great season premiere. And we don't even meet the Blacks until like the last scene of the show, pretty much. So, yeah. And then number 1, this may sound crazy, but it's the Freak Book.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Because we saw a different side of Larry. It was a great sort of circular episode that, like, there was only one real storyline, and it all sort of came around in the end and all revolved around the Freak Book, and it showed Larry putting himself out to save somebody else, being unselfish, but I think in a way that's very Larry-ish, going like, oh, fine, I'll do this thing, I'll go pick up this, and then palling around with John McEnroe and stuff like that. So, yeah, number 1, I think, is the Freak Book. But even, whether or not this made it into the free feed, even I think this list is kind of controversial. Because I think if I went and watched the whole season again just straight through, my top 3 might shuffle around a little bit. Because my honorable mentions are The Anonymous Donor, and I think that one was bumped because the storyline of Jeff jerking off in Larry's house just like that's totally normal, and then somebody jerked off on their kid's stuffed animal, and that's never brought up who actually did that. But it was a pretty funny episode. The N-word probably should be in the top 3. Because it's got some of the funniest like misunderstandings of the series, especially with the letter and Phil Lamar reading the letter and that one line, all these brothers and sisters around, and your life would be better without the blacks. Yeah,
and even just Jay Johnson,
Oh yeah, wait, he's not in that episode, is he?
Oh, not Jay Johnson. Oh shit, I'm thinking of like fucking modern news. What's his name?
Yeah. Current events. Not Phil Lamar.
No.
Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
Famous relative of Jay Johnson. Yeah. And if you're judging his character on this episode, probably thinks the same things as Jay Johnson.
Yeah. They should have.
Or Jay Johnson probably thinks the same things.
Jake Johnson should have played. Although it is appropriate that Jake Johnson, I believe, played a police officer in Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? So in the Trick or Treat episode, so that tracks. And then my star low was the TiVo guy, and I don't even remember what I really liked about that episode, but that's my star low. So I got a top 3 and a bottom 3 there. 60% of the whole season.
Okay, so let me go through my honorable mentions. Or should I do the episodes that I really didn't care for first?
I guess if you have a specific one you want to call out that you hated, yeah, I'd love to know that.
Well, I think the wild one for me is like, I don't know that I necessarily didn't care for it or that I didn't like it, but I feel like the fact that it's so high up on your list and I didn't give it any recognition whatsoever, I gotta point out the Freak Book.
Yeah.
Like, I did not give that a star. I did not give that a star low. I just thought the whole episode kind of dragged on, and it ended very weird. And
yeah, that's true.
and like just the whole circumstances, like, and what they had to do to get Larry into that scenario, into that situation, was too far-fetched.
There was a lot of that, and that's why the anonymous donor fell off the list, because for that situation is like, that's what you guys came up with?
Yeah, it was just a lot of reaching, especially in the last like 5 minutes of the episode. Like time jumps came into play, and I'm like, what is going on here? Okay, so my star lows, my honorable mentions, I'll go with the anonymous donor and the TiVo guy.
Hey, right.
So wanted to mention those. I can't really say anything more about them than you already said. So my top three, or did I have 3-star lows? I did. Oh, and the therapists.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So yeah, my 3-star lows there. Number 3 for me, I have to go with I gotta go Meet the Blacks from number 3. The only season finale, much like you, the only season finale I've given more than a star low to. The only season premiere, I should say. The only season premiere I've really cared for.
Wow. Oh yeah. That was my feeling as well. I thought you meant you'd given stars to all of them.
No.
No, same here.
I went back and I looked. I gave a star low to Mel's Offer. I gave a star low to the Larry David Sandwich for season 4 and 5, respectively. This is the first time I've given a full star to a season premiere with Meet the Blacks.
There you go.
Number 2, I gotta go The Rat Dog, because The Rat Dog was just insanity from start to finish.
It was.
Especially the scene of fucking curb stomping the little dog.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot underrate my genuine reaction to watching that when it happened. My mouth agape and, like, unable to, like, type anything, unable to say anything to speech to text for my notes. I was just sitting there for about 20, 30 seconds. I'm like, oh my God.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
And another episode that gave me that reaction, but more so, I mean, you already mentioned it, Tim, is episode 8, the N-word, my top episode of the season.
Wow. So we really only share Meet the Blacks in our top 3.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was tough to leave the N-word off the list, but the other ones I just had to put up there. And it was just so maddening. I remember, maybe this is what held me back from putting the N-word on there, was it was just so maddening that Larry insisted on saying it each time. It was another one of those jumps.
Oh my God, I know.
It was another one of those jumps in suspension of disbelief that you had to make, that, like, God, just don't say it. Every time you say it, the first time you should have learned your lesson. But I guess it's no hugging, no learning, right? That's in the...
He doesn't learn. He doesn't learn.
He does not learn.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Anything else you want to get into for, like, our top episodes of Season 6?
No, I don't think so. I think we got a couple of good lists here. I don't think anybody could argue with them, maybe.
Okay. I touched on it briefly whenever I forgot his name, but news today, former Curb guest, Jay Johnston, charged for taking part in the insurrection.
Yeah, they finally got him. I can't believe, like, it almost took 2 years to track down this celebrity.
And probably, like, the tweet with the highest amount of engagement from @FBI. Like, we're looking for this one particular man, and everyone else is in the replies like, is that Jimmy Pesto?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like, okay, well, I don't know, call his agent. Like,
yeah, like, it's clearly him in that photo. Like, he's obviously one photo he's covered up by a bandana, but the other bandana is down and he's doing almost his trademark scowl.
Yeah, I just can't believe. I'm pretty sure I could Google any celebrity and find their address just with regular Google in like 5 minutes. Yeah, max.
Yeah. You don't need that much time.
So I just don't get why it took almost 2 years to track down Jay Johnston.
The Justice Department has never been fast, Tim.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the wheels of justice grind slowly. It's true. It's
I was trying to think of that phrase. I'm like, I don't know what the phrase is. I was like, justice slow.
Justice be slowing. You know how it be.
All right. Any other news or anything?
You know what? We had a passing in the world of Seinfeld. Pat Cooper passed away.
Yeah, that's right.
The week that we're recording this, at the age of 93, and he is, of course, I guess famous for being like one of these Vegas comics from way back in the day. But he's also the guy who sponsored the fictional Jerry Seinfeld for the Friars Club in season 7, episode 18, the Friars Club, and he has that great exchange with George that I liked, where George tries to cover for Jerry not having the jacket anymore, and he goes, are you in show business? Are you an entertainer? Are you in show business? And before George George utters out like 2 syllables and he goes, then why am I talking to you?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He has passed away. R.I.P.
Oh my gosh. All right. So if you have never listened to us before, we are not a research-heavy show despite the last 21 minutes. Not that bad. Being almost exclusively research and bullshit. We like to have our questions pop up naturally in the run of the episode and assign them to ourselves the week following, as though we are giving ourselves homework. I've never seen these episodes before. Tim has never seen these episodes before in the last, what is it now for season 7? 14 years.
There you go.
If we miss anything, if we egregiously skip over anything, please send us an email or send us a tweet. It's at NoHugging on Twitter or NoHuggingNoLearningShow@gmail.com. Both of those links are down in the description or on the show description page on Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and a written review on Apple Podcasts, or you can just give us a 5-star rating over on Spotify if you use either of those apps. If you really like us, you like us a little bit more than that, or maybe you've just already given us a rating or given us a rating and a review, you can join us over on Patreon. It's patreon.com/nohugging, where for $5 a month, you get early access to extended versions of our episodes, including last week's super long talk and discussion on season 3 of I Think You Should Leave. I don't know how much of that ended up making the main episode, but we talked for about a half an hour.
Yeah, we did a complete rundown. We just ended up doing a little mini series run through at the beginning of the episode.
But yeah, that lives all over at patreon.com, where I want to give a shout out to our patrons like Drybones, Nate Collins, Tamara Ortiz, the guys and gals over at the Idiotville podcast, John Murphy, full stop.
Oh yeah, my mom. Okay, here I found the deal with that. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because my mom.
Here, let me thank everyone first. We'll get into that in a second. John Murphy, Will Hall, Danica Ligorio, J. Lord Condog, Nick Kudla, Adam Webb, and Megan Stolarski. Thank you guys so much. All right, about your mom.
Yeah, because she wrote to me.
Timothy, do you know why I've been charged $200 in the last year from something called Patreon.com?
Okay, so it was Sunday, the Sunday that we talked about it. She said, are you still affiliated with Patreon? If you are, I need to update my card. What does my $13 do for you? Do you get that? And I said, yes, we still use Patreon. We do get that, but if you don't want to re-up, that's okay. Your $13 tier actually doesn't exist anymore. And she said, what is it now? Their site is such a, she said a do loop. I don't know what that means, but that's like something autocorrect.
Do loop?
DOLOOP, yeah. And I said, hang on, I just lost it.
I don't know what she might be trying to say.
Their site is such a do loop. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like every link you click doesn't really bring you to where you want to be, so you have to just keep clicking links, and that's what you do, and that's why it's a do loop. I don't know. She sometimes speaks in military parlance. She uses like military abbreviations and acronyms a lot still because she was in the military for so long. So maybe that's a military phrase. But I said $5, and she said update or cancel, and there's no cancel button. And she said, I guess I just don't pay them. Well, that ruined my credit.
Oh my God.
I said, I think that'll work. I said, because you've already been removed from our roll. She said, I guess I could just charge May as we canceled that card. You probably won't starve. LOL.
Jesus Christ. You probably won't starve.
You probably won't starve without my $13.
All right. Well, everybody, please, in your cars, if you're mowing grass, whatever you're doing while you're listening to this, give a silent mental round of applause for Tim's mother.
Our first lost patron, my mom. Oh, she's not our first. We've had some other people drop off, right?
We've had a few, including Will Hall. Shout out to you. I mean, I'm getting the notification. Cancel date today at 6:45 a.m. Will, sad to see you go, buddy.
More like won't Hall.
Yeah. won't Hall after July 1st, 2023. All of that being said, season 7, episode 1, Funkhouser's Crazy Sister. Original air date September 20th, 2009, and if you're looking at TV Guide that night, you are going to see in the season 7 premiere, Larry attempts a preemptive breakup with an ailing Loretta and learns a lesson.
Oh, boo. We just talked about how he doesn't learn lessons.
Yeah, and also, like, in hindsight, after watching it, does he? Does he?
I think he does. they mention the lesson in the middle, somewhere in the middle of the episode. I don't know if I wrote it down, but when we get to the end, if I haven't mentioned the lesson, I think you probably know what the lesson is, but we'll see if it holds up through the rest of the series. But we let me mention before we even get into the episode, the picture quality has improved, right?
Yeah. I think it's full HD now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know what it was before. I guess maybe they were still filming on video and upscaling or something.
Probably.
And now they probably switched to digital cameras.
Yeah, still filming on film.
Yeah, and then upscaling
still
to HD.
Filming.
I mean, obviously, I don't know when the big switch over to all shows being HD was.
It was about 2008. It was in between these two seasons, I think.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think of was HBO pulling a Disney Plus and cutting off some of the screen to make it full screen? Because now I can't remember if it was, what do we call the opposite of letterbox, mailbox or something like that?
It was like shadow box,
post box, yeah, something like that.
No, they were in 4:3.
They were all They were in 4:3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were in 4:3.
Okay. I just hadn't paid attention up until now, and I started this episode. I was like, everything's so clear, and it was like the first time seeing HD.
Here.
So yeah, we have finally upgraded, and we open at home. Larry brings some unsatisfactory soup to, as you mentioned, an ailing Loretta. They argue over the house temperature. Larry likes it at 68.
God. This is too real for me.
I did not know, and I don't think this would have flown with the other improvisers if it wasn't true, but Loretta says black people like it very warm in the house. I did not know.
I don't know.
That was true. I can't speak to the experience at all. So she says she wants it at 75 all the time. Leon comes in and agrees he likes it even hotter, 82 in the house.
That's a little much. God
is this winter or summer or all the time?
Okay, Tim, what is your house currently at?
My house in the summer fluctuates between 74 and 75.
Whew.
I know. It sounds hot, but you know what? If I put it any lower, it gets cold as hell. And the real crazy thing is, my AC is 30 years old. My AC unit is 30 years old, and it will make the house too cold. Like if I put it down, any further, and it's in a room where it must kick on very easy. And so I feel like it just is running constantly. And so 74 is comfortable. 75 is when I'm like feeling very stingy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But during the winter, I think the heat is at 68, which again keeps it, not toasty, but comfortable. I feel
exactly.
Yeah, I don't get many complaints. People wear blankets or sweatshirts or whatever. Yeah.
I have to fight for every fucking degree in my house.
In either direction, warmer in the winter and colder in the summer? Yeah.
Yes, I have to fight for every degree because to be able to sleep, my wife needs the house to be at 67.
Oh, wow.
And if it gets left at 67 through the day, I am a popsicle. I am freezing. So I turn it up to 72. Sometimes I'll sneak it up to 73 because she won't actually notice, and then she'll just drop it right back down at night. But like in the summer, I tried telling her this last summer because it gets so fucking unfathomably hot. And I was like, we can have it at like 75 and it's still going to be very cool. And she's like, no, we have to drop it down to 67. I'm like,
oh my
okay.
Gosh.
Holy shit.
I mean, your bills must just be out of control.
In the summer, they're not fun, but that's why I adjusted how much each of us are paying for electric.
Yeah. It's like, every degree below this, that's another percentage. You should like tip the scales like that way. Yeah, it's that. But I do know people. If I'm on Larry's side where the fact is if I get too hot, you cannot sleep when you're like just sitting there and roasting.
For sure.
But I know I feel like it is a majority opinion. People love it super duper cold at night and then bundle up with as many blankets as possible. I know that's like a very popular way to sleep. I don't know why.
I do. That is a very, very good way to sleep. It's a very good way to nap as well. Like if you take a cold nap, but then you have like a nice like big blanket or like a blanket and a hoodie too. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, but then you get to the point where you're like, well, why don't you just make it as hot as it is under the blanket in the house and go to sleep? But no, there's some difference. I don't know what it is. And luckily, yeah, I mean, maybe it's because I'm responsible for it. And it's not like Sarah doesn't pick up like a million other bills, but I'm the one that pays the gas and the electricity, and so I think that's why I've been put in charge of the.
See, we just split everything 50-50. Like I pay everything, but every check that she gets, I have it in a note on my phone of like how much off of each check it is for her, and I'm like, all right, this works, works for us.
Yeah, we've just sort of fallen into like, it probably evens out. We're like, whatever, you take care of your shit, I'll take care of my shit. It probably evens out. Honestly, she's probably paying more, but she makes more, so that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We try to make it as, maybe communist. Maybe communist is possible, Each to their ability, each from their, whatever that is.
Not my electric, our electric.
Our electricity, yeah. But I did not know if we have any African American listeners, I'd be curious to know if this is an accurate depiction, because I think if Larry wrote this and go, black people like it hot in the house, I think Vivica A. Fox
and weird
and JB Smoove would have gone, that's not really true. And
I would hope anyway.
Yeah, I would hope they'd go, can we do something else? But maybe not. Maybe there's so Auntie Ray comes home and tells Larry that there's been a third robbery in the neighborhood. She heard it from the neighbors, and rather than being concerned for the safety of his neighborhood, Larry goes, don't talk to the neighbors, to Auntie Ray, because he's like, I'd rather have the thieves than the neighbors, because the thieves don't impose. They just want your stuff. Neighbors want your time. This was a great little like diatribe monologue from Larry. He's like, I'd rather give up my stuff than my time. And they are awaiting the results of Loretta's biopsy. But and Auntie Ray really plants the seed here that Larry is going to have to think about for the whole episode, that, wow, it's so great that she's going to have you there with her through all of this horrible experience. Everything, she's going to be in so much pain and suffering, but you're going to be right by her side the whole time. And so over at Jeff's, Larry, he's explaining, first of all, I loved their misunderstanding about the Cinderella metaphor. He's like, I'm like Cinderella in there. And Jeff goes, how so? I didn't understand either. And that's why I thought it was hilarious. And Larry's like, what do you mean, how so? I'm like, He's like, what part of Cinderella are you? And he's like, the part with the stepmother telling him what to do. He's like, oh, okay, that's you. Because he had mentioned it in the context of being hot in the house. He's like, oh, and they want to keep it so hot in there. I'm like, Cinderella. I'm like, the part where she was in a hot part of the castle? What are you talking about? So that was hilarious to me. He's like, Jeff was like, I want, please clarify this metaphor. Like, the stepmother, wicked stepmother. Oh, okay, all right. And you're being told what to do. Got it. Now we're on the same page. But it was confusing. And Larry, he has to break up before Loretta gets the results of her biopsy. He cannot break up with somebody who has cancer. So even if she does or doesn't, he doesn't want to be with her because he doesn't like the way he's being treated. But he also has to do it because you can't break up with somebody with cancer. So he's going to be stuck with her. Larry proposes that couples should have a pre-relationship breakup code word that you can just text the other person, which is an interesting technological jump. We're talking about texting in Curb Your Enthusiasm now.
Yeah, really.
But you can text the other person, apricot, for instance, and then it's just over. It's a clean break. Which, it's kind of like the ultimate safe word, I guess. It's like, I just want out of this relationship completely. Susie comes out and invites Larry to a dinner party, but she won't tell him who else is invited because that is against social convention. It's just not done. I had a buddy who brought this rule up to me, like when you would call and see what your friends were doing in high school or even college or whatever, like, oh, what's up? Where are you guys hanging out? Oh, we're over at, Joey's dorm or whatever it's like. And then the other person goes, who's there? Who all's there?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you want to know? Because if someone there that you don't like, you're not going to come over. Or if, and so I understand the social convention. And asking him, he called it the roll call. He's like, don't give me a roll. Don't ask for a roll call. Come over or don't. It's messed up. But I like that, this made me, as I watched the season finale, I'm like, Susie always is just completely chewing out Larry and calling him the worst names. And then in the last episode, Loretta came down and defended Larry and called Susie like a huge bitch or whatever. And yet Larry and Susie remain steadfast friends.
Yeah.
Like, she invites him to a dinner party.
Granted, it's 2 years later, but...
Yeah, that's true, yeah. But it happens daily. I mean, it's such a trope on the show, and that people love, of course, like Susie chewing out Larry with the most creative curse words that she could muster. But, like, Larry and Susie might have the best friendship out of everybody because everything's just water under the bridge. She can call him a fat fuck as many times, and he can, like, shout back at her as many times, and they always come back to being friends. It's and the niceties and all that stuff. It's just very interesting to me, this friendship. But it's like Jeff says after Susie leaves, like, why do you even get started with her? Why do you do this to yourself? It reminds me. I'm saying that to my kids constantly because we have a 9-year-old and a now 6-year-old. And the 6-year-old doesn't know any better. He'll dig it, but I'm like, you know better. You know what it's gonna end up in a fight. Why do you even get started with him? Why do you feel the need to correct him? Why do you feel the need to, like, when he says something wrong, just go by it. You knew what he meant. Just let it slide. I'm like constantly telling them that, and it's the same thing, Jeff. Why do you get started with her? Why do you constantly want to fight with her? It's the exact same thing. So back at home, the doctor is there, and he wants to talk to Larry about Loretta. And just like the coma doctor, he will not speculate on the diagnosis. Remember, this reminds me of the scene where Larry tried to get the coma doctor to, if you had to bet one way or another, if you had to put some money down, it's like, I wouldn't, I can't do that. It's like, what were the odds? What are the odds he's going to come out of this? He will not speculate on the diagnosis. But he does, while he's talking to Larry, help himself to a lemonade from the fridge. And it's at this point that Larry hears nothing the doctor says. He's just laser focused on his movements with this lemonade.
I'm surprised he didn't hear anything that the doctor said, because as the doctor's grabbing this can of lemonade, it's in the middle of an extended all ADR sequence. You noticed this, right?
I did not notice that.
Holy shit. I don't know how you didn't, because the doctor turns to the fridge, and then keeps talking. You don't see his mouth moving whatsoever.
Yeah, and I guess they couldn't get audio of his face in the fridge. The audio probably wasn't any good, so they probably had to do it later.
I'm wondering, like, how much was he, like, he may have been, like, mumbling whenever he was in the fridge, because he's, like, looking, and he's like,
yeah.
I want to give her...
yeah.
And they're like, actually, can we do it, like, more clear after filming? But, like, it was so long.
Yeah, it was.
And then he just turns around and he's got a lemonade.
Yeah. And I love that Larry, he's like a cat looking at a laser. I mean, he really was like that. Anywhere the hands went, he was just staring at that.
You might say, Tim, that he was laser focused.
Laser focused, exactly. Maybe that's where it comes from. So he brings up, they argue about whether or not Larry, first of all, was going to offer. He was like, I was going to offer you. I can tell when someone's going to offer me something and you weren't going to do it. So I just helped myself. And it's, there's no problem with it. This is totally, the social convention, to use Susie's words. You're allowed to do that if no one's going to offer you a drink. You're allowed to help yourself to a drink. So, by the way, if you did not, you probably recognize this guy because his name is Seth Morris and he is in just everything funny. I mean, he's just been in. The funniest thing about his IMDb page is, though, I guess he's in this, is that the first thing that pops up when you go to his IMDb page is the trailer for Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred from 2011.
Oh, my God.
But I'm like, that's the trailer you put on the front page, even though he was in, he was just in the reboot of Party Down, which I watched last week, which was great. He's in Big Mouth. He's in Vanessa Baier's show, I Love That For You. He is in... Let me see. I was going through his... Oh, he's in Veep. He was in The Conners. He's in The Good Place. He was in Do You Want to See a Dead Body? Those YouTube webisodes. He was in Ghosted, a show that I know both of us liked.
Oh, my God. Wait,
yeah.
Old Ghosted or new Ghosted? Because there's a new show called Ghosted on something. On CBS, maybe?
Oh, wait. That's like the Sixth Sense type show where all these dead people like follow this woman around? That's called Ghosted? Oh.
That's called Ghosts, but there's a new show called Ghosted.
Okay, well, it is old Ghosted, but I have not heard of new Ghosted. I wish it was a reboot of the, Adam and Craig show.
This show from 2020, yeah.
Yeah. He was in Marin. He was in Modern Family. He was in... I mean, this guy has just been in...
The new Ghosted is a movie on Apple TV Plus with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas.
I see. So I'll never see it.
No,
it's not something on my list anyway. But
yeah, I've actually got a current membership for Apple TV Plus. I signed up to watch the last season of Ted Lasso and Prehistoric Planet and a few other things that everyone's like, oh my god, you need to watch it. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. What's it on?
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus. Well, guess I'll never see it.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I signed up for 1 month to try and like catch up on everything, and so far I'm doing pretty good.
Good. As long as we're talking about premium streaming services, I hope SummerSlam or whatever isn't coming up, Ted, because the Peacock Premium train pulls into the station June 26th.
I saw that, and yeah, all WWE is on Peacock.
Yeah, I know, and so
it's on the cock.
I mean, if they still had Saved by the Bell or AP Bio, if the one thing that might save it is they have all of the Universal movies, of course, which is all of the Despicable Me. Like, my kids love those movies.
They do have some pretty good original content. They do have some pretty good, like, new release movies. They just got Renfield. Renfield's streaming on Peacock now, which I want to check out.
I wanted to see that too.
Before June 26th.
I'm thinking they might have the Super Mario Brothers movie too, which I know my kids have really wanted to see again. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy it because it's going to be on Peacock probably, because I'm pretty sure that's a Universal release or what Illumination. That's what it is. Yeah, Illumination is that, but Universal owns it. I'm pretty sure.
They're hand in hand with Universal for sure.
So all those movies pop up on there, and so the one thing that will save it is Poker Face Season 2. I would save it if they were like Poker Face Season 2 is coming out June 27th. I would go, all right, I will re-up. Right now for that, because that show was just awesome. But yeah, just Seth Moore. I mean, Children's Hospital, Bob's Burgers, Kroll Show, Comedy Bang Bang, Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Workaholics, Key and Peele. I mean, this guy is just, if there's a comedy show, he's been on it. It's pretty crazy. He must just be one of those, guys that's, I guess, great to work with, a great improviser. And so he walks out. He storms out after this argument with Larry. He passes Marty Funkhouser on his way in. And Marty Funkhouser, at first, he's like, oh, he just went through your fridge? Geez, I can't believe it. What did he take? And he's like, well, you got a lemonade. And Marty Funkhouser was like, liquids are okay. Liquids are okay. I'm sorry. I can't. I got to side with him on this one. But he does tell him that his sister, Bam Bam, I'm like, I misheard this, surely. But no, his sister, Bam Bam, is doing well since she has been out of the mental institution that she's been in. I mean, what the hell kind of a name is? It's like Cha-Cha. We got Bam Bam and Cha-Cha. Why do they give these people these dumb names? I do not know. Larry offers, he looks at him very sincerely and goes, hey, if I can do anything, let me know. And Marty goes, well, you know what? You can visit with her tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And Larry's like, what? What are you talking about? That was an empty gesture. So, but Marty Funkhouser's like, you shouldn't have said it if you weren't going to be taken up on it. And Larry's like, people just say, that's just something people say. No one's taken up on it. But, Larry Funkhouser, I guess, has got him dead to rights. And so tomorrow, visit with her, 1 p.m. And then as Funkhouser leaves, Larry goes, all right, I'll see you at Jeff's tonight. And Funkhouser stops in his tracks and turns around and walks back to Larry and goes, what's at Jeff's? And he was not invited to the dinner party, which Larry did not know, and he would have known if Susie had told him. But Funkhouser agrees with Susie. You don't say who was at the dinner party, but you also don't go around talking about a dinner party unless you know people who are invited. So it's kind of a catch-22, but also it's just like, don't mention something that you're invited to somebody else that you're not sure if they're invited. And the fact that there's no way to find out is no reason to go telling everybody about it either. I think I've mentioned this before because I think it came up. My mom had the same rule. Like, if I talked about something in front of a friend who wasn't invited to it and another friend was, that event was not happening anymore. It taught me a valuable lesson about being polite. Like, you just don't talk about a fun thing that you're doing in front of someone who's not invited with someone who is invited. So over at Funkhouser's, Jeff and Larry are there, and they're sharing some awkward silence and even more awkward conversation with Bam Bam, a.k.a. Catherine O'Hara. I mean, you recognize the great Catherine O'Hara, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Schitt's Creek, Home Alone, Beetlejuice, all of the Christopher Guest movies. So obviously a famous comedic actress. And part of the conversation involves, guess who told Marty Funkhouser to shut up? It's a famous actress.
And she's giving Larry no clues whatsoever. Just saying, come on, you know who it was.
You know. And Larry and Jeff are just like throwing out every name. Angelina Jolie.
No.
Yeah. And I like that they do mention the Kardashians. So we've had texting and the Kardashians mentioned so far in 2009 Curb.
Getting into modern day.
Yeah.
Please tell me at some point, she's got to be on the show, right? Kim Kardashian has got to be on Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
I don't know, but it makes sense, especially because we know that Larry David's daughter is like, you know, a socialite in that way. She like pals around with all those, you know, Nepo babies, as you might say. So like, Daddy, put my friend in the movie in your show. Like, all right, okay, I'll put her in the show. That's a horrible Larry David. I can't believe I've never attempted it before, but I guess that's why.
Very bad.
I think it was.
You've done a Larry before that wasn't nearly that bad.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Maybe that was more Bernie. Maybe that was more Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That was Bernie Sanders doing Larry David doing Bernie Sanders. It was just so. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy. So it was just that was the quality of it. So we don't find out which actress did end up telling Marty Funkhouser to shut up, but Larry asked if he could have a drink or some food, and there's none in the house. As I did like that exchange. Was like, so you don't have any food or drink in the house? She goes, no. He's like, that's interesting. She's like, I know it is, isn't it? But Larry excuses himself to go to the bathroom, and instead of doing that, he ducks into the kitchen and helps himself to a sandwich. He's going to make himself a sandwich, and when he comes back, Jeff and Bam Bam are gone, and I guess we know where she got her name because they are upstairs fucking.
Like Larry kind of hears some commotion going on upstairs, walks up the stairs, and it's like full moaning, and we hear Bam Bam yelling, "Fuck me, fat boy!" I'm like, Jesus Christ! And we hear Jeff Garland's just,
And so on the ride home, Jeff said that she mentioned, "Oh, I'm bored," and Jeff said, "Well, if there's anything I can do," and it was an empty gesture, but she took him up on it. And here is the lesson of the show: you can't make an empty gesture to a Funkhouser. Okay. They will take you up on it. That is the lesson. Yeah, that they have both learned the hard way, pun intended in Jeff's case. So over at Jeff intercepts Larry at the door and lets him know that Marty Funkhouser got himself invited to the party by telling Susie that Larry told him about it. And they also brought Bam Bam. And Dr. Schaefer is there too with his boyfriend. And so Larry absolutely has to. Ted, you understand that he had to remark on his surprise that Dr. Schaefer is gay. He could not let it go past.
Absolutely
unmentioned. Yes, he must go up to them and tell them that he is surprised that he's gay. And it's because, if that wasn't bad enough, it's because the doctor doesn't seem gay.
Happy Pride Month, Tim.
Yeah, what a great June. What a great episode to kick June off with. And his boyfriend is right. I mean, Larry just like this. I mean, this is cancelable, you know, if anything, like, because the boyfriend Mark's like, what do you mean he doesn't seem gay? And Larry goes, well, you seem gay. He doesn't seem gay.
Like, what do you mean by this, Larry? No, please elaborate. Use more than buzzwords.
Yeah. Well, you know, if someone had told me you were gay, I would believe them because you seem gay. And what Larry means is that, you know, he has the stereotypical mannerisms that people do when they're quote unquote acting gay. But Dr. Schaefer does not do those things. And so he does not seem gay. So Marty Funkhouser comes over and talks to Larry and says, at first, this was a great little rug pull because he's like, what'd you do to Bam Bam? And Larry's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, she's a completely different person. Like, it reminded me of that Dumb and Dumber part where he's like, every time I think you can't do anything stupid, you do something like this and totally redeem yourself. It was really like that. Larry thought he was in trouble, but Marty Funkhouser is so happy because she's like a different person. It's like a miracle. What'd you guys do? And he finds out Jeff was there and he's like, oh, I guess that's why she was walking around the house singing I Love the Fat Boy.
Oh my Lord.
And then he's like, you know, you gotta do it again. Whatever you did, you gotta do it again. And Larry and Jeff are like knowingly smirking at each other. Well, let's see what we can do. Maybe you know. So at dinner, Bam Bam is making all these like cutesy, flirty gestures at Jeff, like winking at him. And so Jeff has to wink back at her without Susie noticing or anybody noticing, blowing a kiss, licking the wine glass, licking the rim of the wine glass.
Just literally rimming her wine.
Rimming her wine. And Larry, I loved Larry's reaction to this, like staring wide-eyed back and forth like a tennis match or something, like almost jaw agape, like, what are you doing? You're going to blow this whole thing up?
Yeah, and just kind of out of nowhere, like, Bam Bam brings up that Larry went into Marty's fridge and started making a sandwich.
Yeah. She's like, oh, it's amazing you have all this good food, Susie, with Larry around, because, he likes to help himself to people's fridges. And then he made a sandwich with their... and she even enlists Jeff, like, didn't he do that? And Jeff's like, I don't know. I didn't see it. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's right. You were in bed with me.
Oh.
And everyone blows up at Larry and Jeff. Everyone was already blowing up at Larry, especially Dr. Schaefer, who goes, oh, and you help yourself to a drink, so you're a hypocrite, too.
The only thing I could write in my notes for this was just everybody shouting. Because, I mean... There's not much that's being said, but like everyone is talking very loudly all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a classic Curb scene that we've seen, several times over the past 7 seasons. Everybody shouting because of something Larry did at the table, but Larry and Jeff they pass it off on her mental state. You can't believe her. She doesn't know what she's saying, and. Susie even lightens the mood a little bit with a joke. Like it all gets smoothed over pretty quickly. Everyone's like, yeah, I guess you're right. What were we doing? That's really unbelievable to think that, of course, why would we believe them or her over them? And Susie goes, oh, I should have known. No one wants to fuck you. No one's stupid enough to fuck you except for me. And people kind of chuckle at that, and it brings the mood of the room. Like it lowers the temperature of the room a little bit. Marty, though, remarks that, wow, I guess she wasn't getting better, and I think we're going to have to take her back to the mental institution. And Jeff is all for it.
Yeah, Jeff is like, it's the best thing for her, just so he can, like, get her out of his life.
Yes, out of the picture. But Larry, it seems like his conscience is kicking in a little bit. Like, now, a lie of his is going to send somebody, like, back into confinement. So he is not as gung-ho as Jeff is for all of this, saying like, well, I don't know if she has to go completely. And Jeff's like, no, you got to think about the long term. It's what's better. And Larry gets a call and he has to leave to go get Loretta's medication. And he is not invited back because Susie's very upset he's leaving before the entree. So in the car, he calls home, and Auntie Ray won't ask Loretta what restaurant they went to last week. Larry wants to get some food to go, but she won't ask Loretta. He's like, well, she's sleeping? No, she's resting. So go ask her. Like, no, she is resting. I don't want to think about this. I think Larry is right in this occasion. If, like, you're up and you're just resting, you can be asked a question. It's not going to, make your condition any worse. So he stops at Brentwood Restaurant and Lounge, which was at 148 South Barrington Avenue in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. It is now Baja Norte, but it is temporarily closed. I don't know what happened to Baja Norte. Yeah. Larry shows up to order takeout, but hostess says that, oh, well, you have a reservation. Larry David, too, right over there.
Yeah, we
your
just
party's
sat
already
your
been
party.
seated. Yeah. And it's Cheryl and Wanda. And Cheryl used Larry's name to get a table a little bit quicker. And they invite Larry, though, to join them. And I like that Wanda is all about Larry dating a black woman. She plays into this a couple times, like...
she says she nominated Larry for an NAACP Image Award.
Yeah. And then asks if Larry can hook Cheryl up with a black guy. Like, Lil Wayne, right? He knows Lil Wayne now because he's dating a black woman. Yeah, she's being very funny about it. But Cheryl, meanwhile, is not having as much luck in love because she has broken up with the underpants guy, Glenn. That did not work out. And Larry and Cheryl go outside where they can find some light to read the menu in the darkened restaurant. And they tell each other that they miss being around each other. I mean, it's a very sentimental moment between the two. And what really Cheryl, since she's had some time to think about it, boils down to is Larry's shiftless, focusless, non-work lifestyle was just too much Larry. You were around him when you were working on Seinfeld. That was different because you were working, you'd go away, you'd come back. It was great. That was just enough Larry. But I like Larry's thing here. Was like, that's too much. He's like, I get it. Too much. I got him 24 hours. How do you think I feel?
You need slices of real Larry.
Slices of Larry.
I think he says.
Yeah. I got him 24 hours a day. How do you think I feel? I thought that was funny.
I loved the planting the seeds in this.
Yes. Yeah. And it is so funny to me that that's the only reason that Larry would do a Seinfeld reunion is to get his wife
Cheryl back. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It makes perfect sense, though.
At the end of the day,
what we know about the Larry David character to this point, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like it's not a stretch. It's not something that she mentioned like she wants once and then they build an entire season on it.
Yeah. It's Larry putting this multi-million-dollar machine into motion for one simple selfish reason. It's not because like the fans have been asking for it for a decade, or like Jerry and everybody wants to do it. It's like just to get Cheryl back. Just so he can get his wife back. He's going to get NBC to like drop billions into this project. And then he gets a phone call that the doctor is on his way to the house with the results. So he has got to beat the doctor back to the house so we can break up with Loretta before he gets there with the results.
Well, yeah, the thing he even tells Cheryl is, he says, hold on, I gotta go get out of something.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God.
And he speeds in his Prius all the way home, even passing being right next to the doctor at one point. But before he can get even into his driveway, Bam Bam is there. She pops up like a ghoul in his driveway, like, you gotta tell him the truth. Tell him it was like, oh God, like she's really like pale and it was very scary. But Bam Bam and Larry hear a burglar alarm go off, hear a security system go off, and a burglar jumps over this high wall, gets into a getaway car and speeds off. So another robbery has happened in the neighborhood. And that's when Marty comes from around the corner. And now there's this big commotion because the cops show up as well. And they need a statement about what Larry just saw. But Larry's like, I got to get inside really quick. But there's like, okay, well, she saw everything. You can take her statement. But Marty's like, no, you can't take her statement. She can't be trusted. She's, she's going back to the mental institution. And so Larry has to give his statement as the doctor passes all of this going on and walks into the house. And when Larry does finally make it inside, we find out that the biopsy was positive. So he starts running down all of he's like, here's a list of medications and vitamins she's going to need. I thought she's going to need organic juices every day. I know this is like an improv actor thinking that this is what a doctor would say, but in real life, I'm like, is that what is curing rich people of cancer? That they're not telling poor people that if you have organic juices 3 times a day, you can cure cancer?
And you turn the heat up in your house because the hotter, the better, he says. Like, oh my God.
I was like, is this the advice rich people are getting? And we're all like dying of cancer while they're sitting in this
97. Yeah.
Yeah, they sit in this toasty house drinking organic juice, and that's what's curing them. It's like all those Facebook clickbait ads are like trying to tell us the truth. You know, the ones that are like, detox your body with this simple method. And it's like this picture of like brown sludge that someone's like squeezing a lemon into or something.
The thing doctors don't want you to know. If you make less than $1.5 million per year.
Yeah. They're trying to say, somebody is paying for those ads trying to save us, and we're like, fucking clickbait. Like, no, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to spread my message. Like, drink this 3 times a day. But it's the cliche. Doctors hate this one weird trick.
Doctors hate this one weird trick. It's getting your own personal sauna and putting it in your living room and cranking it up to 82.
Curing cancer. Just explaining all, and it's going to be like, it's going to be hard work, but maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, she'll start, coming around and getting better. And Larry is first concerned about his golf game. He's like, well, at least I can still play golf. Or no, I think he asked, like, can I still play golf? He's like, oh, no. He's like 1 day a week. He's like, no, 9 holes. He's like, no time for golf.
Well, I loved the Dr. Schaefer's rebuttal. Larry's like, 1 day a week, 0 days a week.
Yeah.
9 holes, 0 holes.
0 holes, Mr. David. You're going to have to, it's going to be a 24-hour job. And he's running down all the horrible symptoms she's going to experience, from the vomiting to the, he mentions incontinence twice, which is funny because he's like, vomiting, incontinence, headaches, nausea, whatever. He's like, incontinence. Did I already say that? And that's when Frolic starts up, as we're looking at Larry's horrible realization that he is stuck with someone who has cancer because he can't break with someone who has cancer. And that's the end of the episode.
All right. What do we got for homework this week?
I didn't write anything down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I
All
know.
right. Okay. What do you like for cover art this week, Tim?
I mean, should it be kind of that establishing shot with Larry and Jeff and Bam Bam sitting on the couches? I think it was kind of like a wide shot of that setup. Maybe something at the dinner party. What are you thinking?
I like the shot of them on the couches. Otherwise, maybe Larry fainting into Auntie Ray and JB Smooth's arms, like,
I like
just
that.
the faux like exaggerated faint.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, let's see what we can do about this week's description.
Okay.
So we had, in the Season 7 premiere, Larry attempts a preemptive breakup with an ailing Loretta and learns a lesson.
Wow, that's not bad. The first one's not bad, even though it doesn't have too much to do with the episode. It's really just kind of the opening and the closing. It just kind of bookends the thing. The main plot is really about Funkhouser's crazy sister, hence the title, I think. What do you think? Do we ditch the first part? I mean, I guess it's not really the A story to me, but it's certainly, I don't know if we ever really have A stories and B stories. If there are storylines, they kind of run concurrently as like A1 and A2. So Larry attempts a preemptive, is that it? Larry
attempts a preemptive breakup with an ailing Loretta is the first part.
And then, I mean, Larry and Jeff, I like that Larry and Jeff learn a lesson. I wish we had the word economy to say Larry and Jeff learn you can't
make an empty gesture to a Funkhouser.
To a Funkhouser. Yeah, I wish I could just use the actual quote. Because learn a lesson is just so generic to me. I mean, that's every sitcom. Like, blah, blah learns a lesson.
Blah, blah learns a lesson that you can't be smoking in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or something
but even
like that.
Even that's too much. Like, even they wouldn't leave it as blah, blah learns a lesson. Because that happens every week on Full House or Boy Meets World or whatever. Or Curb Your Enthusiasm. No, not Curb Your Enthusiasm. No learning.
Or Ted Lasso Season 3.
Oh, is there no learning in Ted Lasso Season 3?
No, it's the opposite. Like, there's some scenes where it's like PSA level dialogue.
Oh, wow.
You're not a Ted Lasso guy, are you?
No, I've never seen it. I'm sure I would be. I don't think I've met anybody who's disliked it.
First season was incredible. Second season was all right. Third season was it was the final season, and it's good that it was the final season.
Larry and Jeff. I mean, maybe we could just say, maybe we don't have to say they learn you can't do this. We can say Larry and Jeff, this is too long, but Larry and Jeff are forced to make good on empty gestures or something like that. Are forced to, what's that word where what's the other word for make good? I know there's a better, like a fancier word. Or like not cash in, they're forced to come through. They're forced to
follow through.
Follow through. There you go. I think that's what I was looking for.
Larry and Jeff follow through on empty promises.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. If you want to keep that as like the full description, I kind of like that. So
drop Loretta?
Maybe.
Or keep Loretta?
I would just kind of drop Loretta.
I mean, there's a lot of it.
I mean, Larry's trying to.
It is like the first yeah, I got you. It is the first like 5 to 10 minutes of the show, because it goes all the way from the opening up until they go over to Funkhouser's to see Bam Bam. Because it starts at home, he goes over to Jeff's, then he goes back home and talks to the doctor about it, and there's the drink and everything, and then they go to Funkhouser's. I'm fine with keeping it and then changing it to Larry and Jeff follow through on empty gestures.
Okay, so then what do we have in full so far? I'll get rid of in the Season 7 premiere because we always get rid of that.
Yeah.
Larry attempts a preemptive breakup with an ailing Loretta.
Yeah.
And he and Jeff follow through on empty gestures.
I think that sounds good. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, it may not be perfect, but I think it's better, and I think all we can ask for.
It fits really well.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, did you like this episode?
Yeah, I think I liked it as much as I normally like the season premiere. It gets me right back into the show. It sets up the story arc of the season very well, and. I got a lot of really good laughs out of it. I was like chuckling all the way through at the situations that Larry and Jeff got themselves into, but I don't think I'm going to give it a star. I don't think I liked it enough to give it a star. What about you?
Well, I know I was talking about this at the beginning of the episode when we were ranking all of our faves from Season 6, and I said the season premiere of Season 6 was the first episode and only episode that I had given a full star to at that point. Everything else had been either star lows or nothing at all. Well, Tim, that remains the case because I didn't give this anything.
Whoa!
You thought I was going a different direction, didn't you?
You were ramping up like Funkhouser did in this.
Episode. No,
yeah.
Nope, this sucked. I can't even say it sucked. It just, I don't know. It was 30 minutes of television. That's about it.
It was an average episode of Curb, which is still better than lots of stuff on TV.
It was definitely one of the most shows ever.
It was definitely broadcast.
Yeah, and I mean, not to bring it back to season 3 of Ted Lasso, but my tweet about the finale that I watched was like, that sure was 75 minutes of television.
You can't, no one can deny that.
No one can deny that it was a thing that I watched. Oh my god. All right. Next week we have got season 7 episode 2, Vehicular Fellatio.
Oh. Hello.
Original air date September 27th, 2009. And if you are looking in TV Guide that night, you are going to see Larry deliberately tries to annoy Loretta against the advice of a renowned doctor and dooms Richard Lewis's new relationship.
Oh, no. Now he's not going to ruin another relationship with Richard Lewis.
Man. Oh, dang it.
Jeez.
Oh. I just thought of something. I know I brought this up last episode when we were talking about when the next couple of seasons take place. Season 7 is in 2009, but season 8 is in 2011.
Wow.
You haven't watched season 8 yet, have you? Like, that's not one of the seasons that you watched originally?
I think it was.
Okay, do we get a 10th anniversary of 9/11 episode?
Oh my gosh.
Because all the episodes start in, like, September.
I don't think so. I mean, Curb, of course, has mentioned 9/11 because...
9/11
rabbis
does exist in the Curb Your Enthusiasm universe.
Right. Because the rabbi, his brother mentioned, Larry says, let's roll, and he's offended because his brother died on 9/11, but he was uptown, or whatever, whatever the opposite of where he died in a bike accident or whatever. So I don't think we'll get it. I don't think we'll mark the anniversary of 9/11, but I don't remember. I do not remember.
All right.
All right. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. For No Hugging, No Learning, I'm Tim Murphy.
I'm Ted Hollowell. Be good.